Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Depressed Dior, and this is Langrisser Mobile, more Apex. So I believe the last Apex videos I was putting up, I think I mentioned that they were all on the same weekend. It was the first weekend, trying to just get the Gold 3. These next few matches are going to span over multiple weekends, because I've been just kind of doing the one win per week type thing. Just to summarize my usual losses, for the first 2 weeks, I think the main things that led to my loss is just not understanding how Ares worked. I thought he was just someone that kind of ran through people and then attacked the back lines or something along those lines. I didn't realize he was just an AoE monster that just spams point blank AoEs until you die. So yeah, I don't really have an answer for handling Ares at this point, so I usually try to ban him. It's been a while on some of these matches, obviously, like weeks, obviously, so I don't really remember all the details. As of recording this, I now have a 6-star D-Lit, 6-star Night of Mystery. By the time you guys see this video, I should probably have a 5-star Shorelinka, and I already have a 5-star Elucia, or whatever her name is. So needless to say, I've been getting, I've been pretty lucky on summons and so forth. Anyway, so let's take a look at what we got. I see 3 healers and D-Lit, standard 2 tanks, so obviously I ban Juggler, and a number of assassins that I don't want to deal with. So let's go right in. They banned my Estelle for some reason, which is usually a good start. Yeah, I'm focusing purely on banning their assassins. Some of my later defeats were because I didn't really respect anti-heals, like Sakura and Listel. I've been seeing a lot more Sakura lately, from what little I've been playing, that is. Yeah, in these early weeks, I kind of been grabbing my my Angelina as soon as possible, because mainly I don't really want her for the damage usually. I just want her for the AoE pushback and possible freezes. Usually it seems to be a trend where it's either I freeze nobody or I freeze half their army. Not very much in between usually. So yeah, they let me have my faction buffs. They kind of let me have whatever I want, which was kind of crazy. Yeah, I had no complaints here. I would like to, tell what my band pick strategy was for this match, but this match is so old I don't exactly remember. But key things here, I believe Bozil could buff Omega. I think he's Dark type. I know he's Meteor. Liana, of course, has Gospel. It's possible it might be the Gospel buff that's going on Omega. But only real threat is Omega, because Omega can kind of just hit and run freely and attack your generals without having to go through troops. So I really just need an opportunity to deal with Omega, and everything else is I can literally kind of poke to death if need be. Yeah, and double healer setup, I have Star Glow for an extra AoE. I think my Freya is not going with faction buff because she doesn't need one. So yeah, Dark does apply to Omega. Yeah, I went with Heavy Shield, which I guess makes sense, because really the only threat is Elwyn for her. I'm kind of spreading out a little bit, because there's no real reason for me to clump up. Getting Attack Blessing up and running. Alright. Alright, so I can't be pushed back now, which is good. So instead of going after Omega and hitting 4 targets, I went ahead and did this so I can hit Liana. And got freezes on all 3 of them. Which gave me a free hit on Omega, and since I have, you know, attack blessing. So yeah, just like that, that was as perfect as you can get. Not sure why, not sure about the Earthquake, because flying, you know, practically immune to Earthquake. Just like that, just wiped out 2 of their units. They're gonna lose that. They're gonna lose her next, because Frozen and Poison Mist. Did keep fighting. I mean, there's that. So I can't help but feel that they probably autoed. Or DC'd or something. At this point, I could just kind of swarm my way in. Unfortunately, I think this is like... I think I start going through like a major losing streak after about my 2nd win of this. Yeah, just bites it in. Much to say. Roll a ring, remove the debuffs. Alright, so there you go. That's what we got for a warm-up so far. Alright, I believe this is week 3 of Season 4. So, a Rainforce of all things. This kit here had... It had 2 tanks, but there was no juggler, so I banned their Ares. Yeah, they have a... Not Lanford. Landius. Landius and a Betty, of all things. So, I mean, props to this person for using things that are not standard meta. I mean, they even have the world's greatest maid. They also had only 2 healers, so I banned both their healers, it looks like. They also... Again, there was a first ban of my Estelle for whatever reason. I guess they've ran into so many people that use Estelle as for a rush strategy or something like that, but as you can probably tell from my box, I'm not exactly a rush strategy, besides, you know, spamming Angelina. I've actually, since I've been using Freya more often, I'm actually not that afraid of Mystery Knight anymore. Even though she's magic damage, since she's cavalry, she kind of only does like half damage against Freya. And since now I have the guard against magic skill for Freya, I can actually, you know, protect my other units from her. So she's actually been not that threatening lately. It's actually kind of a little surprising since I kind of go with a non-meta box with, you know, using Freya as my main tank. Certain units that I usually see kind of wrecking things in like the Chinese servers, season 3 and 4, like Yusuke and stuff, are actually practically not a non-threat for my particular tanks. Right. So yeah, they grabbed their Rachel, which is pretty much their only option for a healer. Claret. I don't have much experience with Rainforce. I know he kind of does weird teleport nonsense. But for the most part, the only thing I was really concerned about was Claret, because Claret will be faction buffed and can double hit. So again, double healers, so I have Chloe. And again, they let me have a faction buff, so I have Shafaniel, so I still took Freya. Maybe I forgot to switch it. So I probably forgot to switch it to a different skill. Rainforce, I literally don't know his skills. teleports, his line strike thing that lets him teleport to the furthest point, and things like that. So I was really kind of concerned about these super long range line abilities, but besides that, I wasn't. The only other threat was really Claret. I mean, Rachel could do some damage if you let her. I kind of remember some of this fight. This fight could get a little brutal. So let's see how that goes. Claret does the usual thing. Let's go ahead and open the danger zone. So I'm kind of oh, wow, that buffed everybody. Yeah, he's a full Yellis box, I think. Maybe not full, I don't believe the maid is actually Yellis. Yeah, teleport AoE damage. Holy cow, what did all that do? Okay, it dispelled some buffs and applied a bunch of debuffs. What's the Eclipse do by itself? If you land a critical hit, it applies one strong debuff. Okay, I think he has the was it the Soul Slayer or whatever, the katana that lets you, when you get crits, remove buffs and add an additional debuff. I think that's what's happening. But I went ahead and used this as an opportunity to kind of push everyone else back. Got their Claret. So usually I try to follow up with another attack, but I wasn't entirely certain that I would be able to get the kill on Rachel since I was all beat up. So if I had stayed nearby and Rachel actually attacked Angelina, she would be able to dispel the freeze off of Claret. So that's why I went ahead and fell back and cut my losses there. Now their Claret's gone. I don't have to worry about her anymore. Since Rachel got pushed back, I don't have to worry about her for a round. I'm actually pretty impressed with how much damage Starglow does. I'm trying to answer the Rain Force here as best as I can. Yeah, pretty much my goal is just try to kill him. He was a sword infantry, so I was definitely concerned about possibly him doing some damage to Freya. Right, countering the 3-cost skill with my Aurora Ring. Alright, anti-heals actually, heal reversal actually got applied. Doing what I can to kind of apply more pressure. At this point my guard wears off. So what the reason why I'm attacking with Tiaras here is I'm hoping to get a debuff on him, but I didn't. I'm doing some weird positioning here, trying to provoke some other attacks, because unfortunately Rachel's going to get an attack off, which is going to heal everything else. Right, Arcane Blast, this might finish off Freya. Nope, it doesn't. Perfect. I do inevitably end up trading. But I'm good to go. Without Brenda, all they got left is really Rachel. That's when they gave up. Yeah, it was a little messy. I was trying to provoke attacks off of my tanks and things like that, just to try to, you know, endure, to say the least. But yeah, a little bit messy, but that, like I said, Angelina has been kind of carrying me through a lot of these fights, just simply because of her fancy AoE and pushback. Even without the freeze, being able to kind of mess with their formation is always beneficial. Alright, so at this point for this upcoming match, I was pretty tilted. I lost a lot of matches. Like I mentioned before, I lost a number of matches because of Listel and Sakura heal reversal. One person even played me with their Listel. Usually I kind of expect them to have the usual setup where they have Reaper's Touch and all that. And actually one of the fights, there was a Listel that didn't have Reaper's Touch, but I played as if she had Reaper's Touch, which really messed up my formation. And forced me to kind of play really, really reserved when I didn't need to. So I guess a few things to note is I did replace Liffany with Young Jessica. Unfortunately, like all my matches where I used Young Jessica, I lost. She can definitely do some damage. It's just a matter is you got to keep that formation solid. But against characters like Listel and things like that, it ended up just hurting me a lot. So unfortunately, I just haven't been able to get her to work the way I want her to. Sorry, words are failing me. I also was super tilted because one match, I did this, the usual Angelina combo, and I went straight for their Yusuke, and I got him down to 100 hit points. Like I was just short of actually being able to kill him, and that just really, really annoyed me. I believe at this point Angelina is 6 stars, so there's not really much I can do to buff her up further besides just try to get more enchants. My enchant luck has been pretty abysmal lately, for not just Angelina but for everyone else. But yeah, let's see what we got. Yeah, okay, so this match I think is where I kind of really solidify the idea that Yusuke and Mystery Knight are not that big of a deal for my particular setup. The only things that really set up the note here, of course, is a number of assassins. They got a Weiler, which I don't like dealing with. It's kind of just it is a bit of a mix of everything. Yeah, they have 3 healers and a delet. Okay, got it. They banned my Zerida first, I banned their Juggler. Got my Freya up and running. They banned Angelina and Stefaniel, not surprised. So I banned their assassins. Took a Luna. Yeah, so one of the other issues I was running into is I was first picking Angelina, and then I would lose all my faction buffs. So if I have the opportunity to get a faction buff, I now take it. They took Mystery Knight. I was a little concerned about Mystery Knight just simply because of how mobile she is. And of course I got Freya, not Freya, Claret. Now what's kind of neat about having Young Jessica in the box is essentially I have 5 healers now, or 4 healers in the delet, because she does get area heal, and I believe she has her unique helmet, which makes it so if she doesn't do anything for a turn, she just gets a free action, which will make it very easy to cycle her AoE heal cooldown. So yeah, pretty, can't really say much about how I was banning things. Like I said, I went for the assassins first, and then of course I went for anything that had long range. I've been banning Listel a bit more often now. I was not concerned about Yusuke because I can tank Yusuke, and since they already had Mystery Knight, I couldn't really do much about it. Weiler was a concern, simply because of his stupid passive and his 3-cost skill. But there's not much I can do about it, and I'm going to be leaving him with 2 healers, so it can get a little messy. But they left me with 2 healers as well, so we'll see how it goes. Alright. So, I'm using Iron Rose. I don't plan on activating it, because activating it will heavily debuff Freya's defense. But just having it active gives me a passive magic guard that I can take advantage of. Also, I have Luna, so as long as I'm nearby, I'm literally taking 30% less magic damage from things like Night of Mystery. So there's that. Standard stuff here with Yusuke, Dark Tincture, all that combo. Standard Weiler with regroup and all that. He doesn't have the fancy group teleport or anything like that. This Leona actually went with Sky Archers. It's the usual combo if you ever take Yusuke is of course bring a summon and then use that summon to trigger Yusuke's partner power as well as the Mimir's Hammer ability as well. But from my experience, even with all those buffs, he can't really do anything to Freya, so it's not that big of a deal for at least my particular setup. Usual stuff for Chloe, TRS, Luna's going faction buff. Freya went ahead and took Protect, and yeah, pretty standard kit. I had Claret stay in place as usual, and just kind of getting waiting for my opportunity. Alright, Breeze procced on Mystery Knight, so I had to kind of respect that. So yeah, I'm playing very, very defensively at this point. And of course they want me to hit the summon, which I will, because it's way too... most of the buffs that happen from doing this are gonna will fade for the most part by the time by the time Yusuke reaches me. Yeah, the Ancient Wisdom only lasts one turn, and he has to spend a turn transforming anyway. So it's like, okay, whatever, I'll kill your summon. It's all good for me. Yeah, he's getting in position now, but he's still out of range. And I'm actually staying in place here and just waiting. I'm getting Claret. At the very least, I'm forcing them to take into account that I'm preparing Claret for an attack. And then here comes Thunder Zone. It's magic damage. I have Luna. A lot of my units are spears, so I literally just undo all the effects as well as remove the debuff all at once. I don't know how many stars this one has. Let's find out. This one is 6 stars. So yeah, 6-star Night of Mystery. Wyler just moved in and did his 3-cost skill, which takes away all but 1% of his health and essentially applies his passive when usually when he dies, he applies this nasty little auto heal thing and like removes all debuffs when he dies. The 3-cost skill makes it so he sacrifices almost all of his life to do the same thing. And this actually puts me in a kind of an interesting situation because he's only at while his troops are fine, he only has 76 HP, so I'm trying to find an opportunity to go ahead and get a hit off on Wyler, because if I hit him with any AoE, it'll kill him. Unfortunately, the only person that has an AoE is Chloe, and she's out of range at the moment. So what I do here is actually, I go ahead and get Wingod Realm up, and I go ahead and make a poke against Landius. Of course, he's immune to all debuffs, so it doesn't do anything. Yeah, just do a little bit of damage. And then I fall back. And that's all I needed. All I was hoping for was for Leona to not do anything. As long as Leona didn't do anything, I had an opportunity. So when Landius moved up, as you can see, the real purpose for all this was just so I can get Chloe up just enough distance to actually do the AoE. Dakota even helped me by pushing Landius forward as well. So with this, I can just go straight in with Starglow. This will finish off Wyler. Now, of course, it's going to apply Tap to Genius again. It's also going to buff up Yusuke, but there's not much I can do about it. Alright, so this is Chloe without any support. And I had 195 health left. So part of that's probably because I had spears as my soldiers, so that soaked up a lot of the hits. But yeah, I was actually very, very surprised that Chloe managed to actually survive the hit. Which kind of buys me a lot of time, because right now the Night of Mysteries, all of her stuff is on cooldown now until she gets a few more steps. So I went ahead and used this as an opportunity to go ahead and go straight for the Landius. Because remember, Leona didn't bother healing Landius, so this actually gives me an opportunity to go ahead and finish off their tank. thorns was not something I wanted, but that's alright. Yep. So, Yusuke getting all sorts of buffed and healed up. They don't stack though, as far as I know, so... Clarette's at full health. So she's able to tank the hit, despite all those effects. And for some reason, he specifically targeted Freya. And yeah, that's with all of his fancy buffs active. It just wasn't enough to actually kill her. Anti-heal is up though. Alright, finally they get rid of Chloe. Yeah, not getting the kill on Chloe's really hurt them. And Yusuke's gonna keep trying. But with all that fixed damage I'm reflecting back at him, he just can't do anything to Freya. Yeah, he gave up at that point. And at that point, it was his last desperation because his transformation wore off, and at this point he loses a lot of damage once his transformation wears off. He also loses, I think, some movement and all this nonsense. He could have went after Luna, but I had my healers. I still had a healer left, I had a tank left, and I still had Clarette left. So I was strong enough to kind of tank anything that Dakota had remaining to throw at me. Alright, and this is this week's match. I've been pretty exhausted because I've been staying up later than I should be playing other games. So I was a bit worried about since last week was so bad. I had like a 7 loss streak before I actually got my win last week. So I was a bit concerned about this week. So they banned my faction buffer first. Has 2 tanks, the usual things. I'll be banning their juggler as usual. They do have a Sakura, an analyst to be aware of. One thing that does stand out is it looks like the person only has 3 healers. No D-lits or anything like that, just 3 healers. They kind of have some off healing with Yulia and that's it. They only have Yulia. So we'll see how that goes. So ban the juggler first. I was concerned about the Ares, especially since his picture was of Ares, though I don't think it shows the picture when I first encountered him. Tesla went straight for my faction buffs, just took out the rest of them all at once. So a few things I wanted to take advantage of is the fact that I have 2 people with Gospel. Also, I replaced young Jessica at this point with Mystery Knight, since Mystery Knight is now at this point 6 stars. Even though I don't have a faction buff for her, I do have 2 people with Gospel. And even without a faction buff, I can kind of have her run around and just be an annoyance, which I think is probably what I kind of need in this box. I need more kind of the thing that's king in PvP and Langrisser is pretty much mobility. Like, there's a ton of good units, but only having 3 movement, like for ground troops, is really, really painful for a lot of them. So that's why most people go Breeze. But even then, you have to rely on RNG for that to proc. Alright, so I was kind of concerned about what I wanted to ban at this point. I wanted to get rid of Ares. I was kind of concerned about Clarette and Luna. There's a lot of things I was concerned about, but they only had 3 healers, so I went ahead and banned one thing. I banned Ares and banned one of their healers. So they only had 2 healers at this point. I grabbed Rachel, so I have my Gospel buff. They went for my Yulia, which is probably fair. They actually took Sakura, so at this point I went ahead and banned the remaining of all their healers. So they have no healers now besides Rachel and Yulia. And since they were busy banning all my faction buffs and other things, I went ahead and grabbed Angelina. I got rid of my Clarette and one of my healers. I went ahead and grabbed their Yulia. Yep, and I banned their assassins and time stuff. Grabbed Mystery Knight, so this will be my first match using Mystery Knight. I wasn't too concerned about them banning healers at this point, because they don't have any actual healers, and I have Rachel, and I can grab D-Lit here. So I'm hoping I can outrange this person. I'm assuming I always assume their Luna is Flyer. So at this point, the only thing to be concerned about is just Sakura, really. If the Sakura gets a hit off, it'll probably cause me some problems. It won't be too bad, because I can remove most of the debuffs with Rachel, but I don't exactly want to be hit by it, because it's generally not healthy. One thing that was kind of interesting is the Bozal had Crystal Warlocks, which means he's not actually flying. So that's something I went ahead and took into account. As usual, I don't really like this map, but this map kind of works out for me in this situation, since I have so much flying or high mobility. Pretty standard stuff here. Their Sakura has no faction buff, but pretty much the point is just to do Hyaka Ryoran. Yeah, pretty standard stuff here. Alright, so let's go ahead and dive right in. So applying Gospel onto Mystery Knight. So now she's buffed. I don't really need a buff on Rachel. I'm more than happy to just let her be kind of semi-support and just do AoE if necessary. Freya can buff Beadlet herself. I went ahead and got Gospel on Angelina. I wasn't planning on it originally, but since how things were... 1 second. Sorry about that. My mic was going on the fritz. Anyway, what was I doing? Yeah, originally I wasn't planning on buffing Angelina, because I could have buffed Rachel, but since I wanted this narrow passageway is perfect for Angelina's AoE anyway, I went ahead and just went for it. And they all clumped up, so I was like, alright, I'm ready. Alright, no freeze, but I went ahead and went straight for Sakura, even though she has first strike. Because I could still do enough damage. I was a little surprised at this point because I was expecting a trade. I was expecting to trade my Angelina for the Sakura, which I was fine with, but Angelina actually pulled through. Her armor actually has a really high defense chance and no attacking chance, so I guess that makes her pretty effective bruiser. And you might have noticed I kind of took advantage of the fact that since I went first on the next round and I had Lonely Moon and no troops, I went ahead and just took advantage of that. It was this route down here was the only route that would actually get me far enough away to escape. Sorry about that. My mic is dying on me. Alright. Yeah, at this point they gave up. Pretty much once I got away and I made the trade and I'm getting in a situation where I can AoE, they kind of just gave up. I mean, they have no healers besides Yulia, really, and I could just... Yulia doesn't have very much mobility. So yeah, like I said, I got a little bit tilted last week, but this week it was a little bit of a confidence booster. My win percentage is not great, unfortunately. That 1 week where I had a... Let's see, how many losses did I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I had an 8 loss streak after week on the 4th week. That's alright. So yeah, as you can see with my team formation, I dropped Polyphony for Young Jessica, and then I dropped Young Jessica for Mystery Knight. I do eventually want to try to get Sherlinka in just to have another assassin, or it's either that or I'll go with Illustrial. My Illustrial should be 5 stars soon. Right now I'm working on Illustrial, Renee, or Reen, and Sherlinka as far as my stars are concerned. For those who actually watched the video where I did the summons and I got like 3 SSRs within, I think, what, 30 pulls. I actually did a bunch more pulls after that, and the total was over 200 summons. I got 7 SSRs. So that pretty much got me a 5-star Alucia and a 4-star Sherlinka that's almost 5 stars. So pretty handy stuff. Everything else I'm pretty much going to be saving up for Licorice, hopefully. But yeah, as far as troops are concerned, I'm actually working on getting Skeleton Knights, since Skeleton Knights can be used by Sherlinka, and they're actually pretty beefy. As long as you're not fighting against Holy, they can be pretty handy. Also, it's just simply because my holy demon training is a far ahead of what my infantry training is. I did went ahead and max out heavy infantry just in case if I ever need to use them. The only thing I'm concerned about as far as using Sri Lanka is the fact since I banned Juggler first, that means I usually have to deal with Landius as a tank, who's cavalry, which is also another reason why I'm trying to stick with just Skeleton Warriors. So I'm not sure if she's going to be strong enough to actually deal with the class disadvantage when she attacks. But that's pretty much it. So like I said, I'm just kind of doing my 1 week win per week type thing. So it is what it is. I believe at this point we got the summer festival going, which will be fun. Yeah, so I am the Depressed Dealer. This was Langrisser Mobile. See you guys later.